Let's Podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias. Inside Eford Studios. We're brought to you by Copiers Plus. Big thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. And of course, thanks to Empire Properties. Did you take advantage of Empire Properties catering while you were at the UNC Health Championship?
Empire Eats, man. I'm remiss yesterday that I didn't point out the excellent work they did during the entirety of the UNC Health Championship, including those transfusions, which can potentially hit me a little bit harder than I think,
dude,
because they're so delicious.
Would you stop? Because everything hits you harder than you think. Okay?
That's fair.
All right, then.
That's fair.
All right, then. Also, I would be remiss if Copiers Plus didn't contact you yesterday as you were jotting down notes on the back of a quick pass envelope. You can do better than that.
I know.
And Copiers Plus has a way for you to do that. So check them out online at copiers-plus.com. But you know what you still excel at, though, Joe?
What do I excel at?
Getting the people going.
I know, man.
It's provocative. So Carolina wins in extra innings yesterday. They beat LSU. They're off to the Super Regionals. This is from Brian Ives, our friend over at the ACC Network. The ACC will send 5 teams to the Super Regionals, the most in conference history. That is out of 8 teams that receive bids. And as I was seeing that tweet last night, and I'm repeating it on the podcast today, I realized I felt like something's been missing about college baseball.
Yes.
You know what's missing about college baseball?
Get the juices going.
I need a Joe Lunardi for college baseball. Yeah. I need somebody to tell me,
polarized.
Hey, cool that the ACC's got all these teams going to the Super Regionals. And as you pointed out, it really is a ACC, SEC invitational when it comes to college baseball. But I need a Joe Lunardi online saying, yeah. But that doesn't mean the ACC had a good regular season, okay?
Oh.
Okay?
All 5 ACC teams advanced through the Super Regional by beating an SEC team to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, somewhere Greg Sankey's thinking they got to expand the tournament.
So, well, I'm sure that this will be the reason they add Florida State and Clemson. All 5 of the ACC teams advanced. SEC gets 5 teams through. Let me give you the murderer's row of who the SEC had to go through. Indiana. That was Tennessee, the number 1 overall seed. Sure enough, you earn something when you're the number 1 overall seed.
Sure.
Kentucky beat Illinois. I'm noticing a pattern here. Georgia, hat tip, you beat Georgia Tech. Florida was not a regional host. They went to Stillwater and beat them, kind of proving my theory that if you have an SEC team in your path, you're probably in trouble a little bit if you're not from the ACC.
Sure.
ATM, Texas A&M, they beat their rival Texas, who they'll soon be conference mates, but Texas A&M is the betting favorite to win this tournament. Now let's go to the ACC side. Alabama. Yeah, I mean, they fired their coach for gambling, but yeah, it's still pretty good.
Pretty good program.
Mississippi State just won the national championship 2 years ago. UNC beat LSU. That was Virginia who beat Mississippi State as a host. Florida State also as a host. UNC as a host. Beats LSU, last year's national champion. And by the way, you think their NIL payroll magically went away overnight?
Dude.
The state fans in my timeline last night were like, LSU's not that good. They're not as good as they were.
Yeah,
right. They don't have Paul Skeens. I get that.
You said last night that Carolina absolutely
earned it. They,
on multiple levels.
As the number 4 overall seed, they had no business playing against LSU.
They were the regional visitor in their own building.
Twice.
Come on.
State beat. and listen, full disclosure here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I did not realize LSU was 13-17 in the SEC this year. Fair enough.
Fine.
But just turn the games on and look at the talent that they have. And again, you're talking about the leader on the forefront of NIL in baseball in LSU, sir. This is not.
Why are state fans? Why are state fans in your mention? They should be like, oh, hey, Tommy White ending his career, his college baseball career at Bosch.
One of the Carolina fans mentioned now this is twice that Tommy White's season has ended at the hands of the Tar Heels. Fair enough, it's true.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's right.
Because they lost that year in the ACC championship game and didn't get in.
That's right.
Under the infinite wisdom of the NCAA tournament selection committee.
I forgot about that.
NC State, obviously as a host, beat South Carolina, and then Klemp as a host beat Vanderbilt. So. What was notable to me, though, and I saw that same stat from Brian Ives, was, well, what did these other 6 teams do? Like, how did they get there? Right? Because I'm really not going to be a jerk about being right, because it doesn't take a genius to figure out, yes, the SEC is the best conference in baseball. They won the last 4 national titles. They've won 9 national titles since 2009 by 5 different programs. That, my friend, is insane. Think about that. They've had 5 different programs win the national. And this isn't like, let me add Syracuse when they weren't here. Let me add Louisville when no. These are all legitimate SEC members when they won actual titles. Okay. The ACC, by comparison, has 1 title since 1955. 1. Okay. So just try to put that in perspective for you. My point, though, is if you can avoid an SEC team, you're probably going to be okay. Of those other 6, UConn had to beat Duke. Evansville had to go through Wake, obviously, and ECU being the top seed there. Arizona, as I said, was fraudulent, and there's West Virginia. Oregon's. Here are my notes. I'll disconnect. Here are my notes because
I'm just glad your computer's working again.
Here are my notes. Let's see if we can see them.
Yeah.
Oregon State and Oregon. Lol. Okay. And so when Brian Ives had mentioned that, this is a record for the ACC, I retweeted him and I said, and just wait until next year when Stanford gets the paved in gold path that they get every year to the super regional round. Doesn't mean they're not good. Oregon State is an unbelievable program. Okay. But when you don't have to play an SEC program in your regional round, and certainly even a no ACC team, like, get out of here. What are we doing? And that's my ultimate gripe with the NCAA is they make no effort to make this a national tournament. And you're allowing teams to get through or giving them an easier path to get through by not playing them or having them face an SEC or an ACC team. Seed the tournament to its true form. Obviously, the SEC teams aren't going to play each other in the regional round. Fair enough. I understand that. But you can't just give 6 other regions like, oh, here you go, because LSU needs to be in Chapel Hill. Why? For you to save on what? And I found out that NC State will be busing to Georgia because the NCAA has some sort of rule about the mileage.
Oh, no. That's, you know what?
No, the NCAA still pays for everything.
No,
Joe.
I get that they pay for everything, but going on a bus, man, that's just old school, you know? Baseball on a bus. Hey, man, just thinking about the glory days.
So, but give Carolina credit for beating a program with that much talent. And quite frankly, now their super regional round against West Virginia is probably more in line what they had earned in the regional round. That was the entirety of my point about Carolina. It's okay as a state fan to give them credit when they do something that is worthy of your respect.
No, I can't do that because you got to get that sweet online engagement, baby. That's what it's all about. Still chasing that clout. I'm guilty of it from time to time, not above it. That sweet riff you just heard was done by one of the co-owners of Nice Price Books and Records in downtown Raleigh. That's Brian Shaw. But joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is another co-owner of Nice Price. He is Enoch Marchant, and he's an ECU guy. And I was at the shop yesterday, Joe. And Enoch, you can verify this. What's going on, man? I was at the shop yesterday. He's in the back in the super secret area pricing records. And he comes out, and I just looked at him. I'm like, shouldn't you be watching ECU right now? He's like, no, I am. I'm stressed out right now. And then you texted me after I left that they went up 5-2. How'd the rest of that go, Enoch?
You know, it didn't stay that way. I don't know if you caught up. Nah, man, we really kicked it at the end. It was a heartbreaker. I'll say I didn't drink turpentine yesterday, but that's just because I wasn't thirsty. It was not a good feeling. It's hard to put into words, kind of. I know that's precisely what you've asked me to do, but it just 5-2. I made the same mistake I made against the series, which I don't even want to talk about, which was Texas and Supers, where I had a moment of like, all right, like I for a millisecond felt some relief, which was a huge mistake, and internally. And so then when things went haywire as they did, it was a real kick in the pants.
I wanted to bring you on because, you know, Joe and I can talk about the state and Carolina aspect of this, and to a certain extent ECU, but I feel like for a lot of different reasons, ECU fans, when it comes to baseball, feel it even more deep than the Triangle schools.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to. I mean, I think so. We're probably I think we're just a little bit more human than they are, maybe. But I don't know. The thing for me, I'll say this, that is part of the bummer, which is less of a bummer, is that I love watching East Carolina University baseball. It is a lot of fun. I love watching the games. Going to the game is obviously incredible if you can make it out there. So part of it is just, oh man, this thing I love, it's over. Like a TV show series finale or whatever. You're like, oh, it's not so much that it shouldn't have stopped, but I like watching this. I'd love for it to continue forever magically. And it's not just that we lost and oh heck, we didn't make it to Supers or to Omaha eventually, but it's like it's a lot of fun. I mean, and we compete on the national level in baseball, and we don't compete in the conference level right now in basketball or football. So to be able to actually compete at the national level on something for us, besides a couple of Olympic sports we've done in the past, is such a huge deal. And the team is so fun, and the players are so likable. And baseball, I mean, you certainly have the transfer portal issues, but at least ECU and some of the other schools are a little bit removed from that, even though with one glaring exception with ECU. So you get to know like it was a fun team to root for, and I think part of the reason we feel it more is that Cliff feels it more. The players let it be known how they feel, and we all sort of grieve to get like. I'm not just bummed for me. I'm bummed for Carter Cunningham. I'm bummed for Barini. I'm bummed for Yosef. Like I'm bummed for them because I know how bad they want it, and I love watching them play. And when we succeed, it's so much fun. And so knowing that it's over, partly just that our season's over is a huge bummer because there's no more to watch. And then when you lose, if we'd have gotten kicked by Wake, if Chase Burns came out and stepped on us, I think we'd have felt differently. But after we lost the first game, me and my boys in the text thread were saying, okay, if we're going to get out of this, what we need to happen is Wake loses to VCU because I don't know we won't Wake twice. We put Trey Yosevich, he shoves, which he did. We win that game, and then if we're lucky, Evansville will take down VCU for one game, and now we've only got VCU once. And then Evansville, Lord, I don't even know if they've got another pitcher. They might call me up. And what do you know? It all worked out for us, and we still kicked it. And it stings a ton. And mainly that I'm sure I know Julia probably has some thoughts. I think Joe let it slip a little bit. Like there are some in-game situations that Cliff is on the other. Like he's got a pretty quick hook with the bullpen, and then I saw Dixon Williams square around to bunt. I had to shield my eyes. I couldn't hardly believe it. Some of those things drive the fan base a little bit crazy. But here's the trouble: that's not why we lost. So all the things people want to reach for, we scored one run against Evansville in the first game.
Yeah.
It wasn't the bullpen. It wasn't any of that caused that. We didn't hit enough. And then the last game, I don't know if y'all were able to watch it. We played not to lose. We played tight. We didn't. When we got up, we were feeling it, but it was not a usual. East Carolina University did not get beat the way we didn't play our game and then lose to a superior team. Like if we'd have gone. Look, Tennessee is. I got bad news for Evansville. He's going to commit crimes against them. They are a different species of ball club.
Yeah. Different years have different opportunities, right? Like, and you just embrace this. Listen to me. NC State fans and ECU fans are the same people. Okay. This is why I like ECU fans, because I understand NC State fans and I understand ECU fans. So different years are different opportunities. And to your point, when you went to Vanderbilt and the stupid lighter kid and Kumar Rocker are shoving on you in the super regionals, you're like, you just throw your hands up in the air and go, what was anybody supposed to do against those teams?
We'd have beat anybody in the country except for Vanderbilt that year.
Right. Like you just throw your hands up and go, forget this. To your point, though, when you get Texas at home and you get either Wake or Evansville at home, you have to hammer those opportunities. And that's like NC State, like Dave Doran in 17. Like, Clemson doesn't have a generational quarterback and you get them at home and it's like, and you still shit your pants. Like, what are you doing? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
And I should admit, I grew up and I'm born and raised in Raleigh. And I was a State fan until I went to ECU. So my comments about a lack of humility might have been a certain lighter colored blue school. So,
but I get it. But
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like those are the ones that you feel a lot deeper. And I hate it. I said it when they were losing in the 9th inning to Wake Forest. I hate it for this team because of the way that the last month has gone. You see them early in the year, they beat Carolina. You see them, then they beat State. And you see them, and then the last month, like if something could have gone wrong the last month, it did. And that's the part that's truly like, it's almost like the Carolina Hurricanes. You just want a square look at this thing. That's all you really want. You just want to be able to say, I got a clean look at this thing and I got a chance to compete for it. And I feel like there's a couple of years with ECU where that's just not the case.
Yeah, there's been, I mean, I'll say this for the fans who feel as bad as I do. I also felt after we had now 3 big leaguers, because Connor Norby got called up yesterday. Norby and Gavin Williams and Alec Burleson, and we didn't get it done. And I thought to myself, are we going to have a team that has 3 big leaguers on it ever again? And if we couldn't do that, then are we ever going to do it? But we have competed. We have gotten back to great teams right away. So I do have, as bad as I feel, I am excited for next year. I mean, I do feel that way. Like I love ECU until I die, but not just on like blindness. Like I love Cliff forever. I mean, and for anybody who's criticizing Cliff, I don't know if they are. I'm not as I've been avoiding any possible social media right now, to be frank. I tried to listen to the post game. It was hard to hear it over. I just nestled down in front of a freight train, so it was kind of hard to hear some of the audio. But I want them to think about how whatever criticisms you have now. Remember the feeling in the pit of your stomach when he was interviewing at other schools, because I can tell you what I felt, which was absolute abject panic. Of, oh my God, what if he goes to Ole Miss? Oh my God, what if he goes to LSU? Oh my God, what if he goes to XYZ? So the heart will tell you, when the ball's in there, who do you want to catch it? That's who you're rooting for. So I know how I felt, and I would like to think they felt the same way. Like I want Cliff Godwin to stay at East Carolina years forever and ever and ever and ever, no matter what he does. But yeah, it really, I mean, I guess I'm rooting for Evansville. Hell, I don't know.
A true Cinderella story. All right, can I change your mood before we say goodbye? Can we change your mood by celebrating the 40th anniversary of Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA?
Yeah, so are you going to read the Stephen Hyden book that just came out? I'm curious.
I actually am going to read that book when I go down to Florida and I have time. I'm actually going to get it on the Kindle. I'm curious to see how he threads the needle on that album and how it relates to where we are today.
So here's an interesting subplot of the whole Born in the USA thing. A great record. Here's a little record store nerd thing for you, Joe. We used to have a rule. I forget your both name, Joe. We used to have a rule at the store where if someone sold us a copy, we don't do this anymore, but if someone sold us a copy of Born in the USA, you could not check condition. You had to buy it from them, and you had to price it at a set amount because every single copy was in perfect condition. Because every one of those songs was on the radio for so long, and it was such a part of the zeitgeist that people bought the record and didn't even play it because they could just imagine it and hear the record. They didn't even have to play their copy. So every copy was like perfect somehow. Mm-hmm. But we read the 33 and a third for my book club at So-and-so Books. Shout out. We have a 33 and a third book club. And the one on Born in the USA mentions that he essentially had recorded 3 albums worth of material that ended up coming out in different pieces. And they basically rewrote the narrative as Born in the USA was a missed opportunity for 3 other Borns in the USA that could have come out all around the same time, which is kind of a funny way to look at like it's seen as like the demarcation point in Bruce's career. And he's like, well, actually, he kind of screwed it up. It should have been blah, 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 blah. So that was a really funny way to rewrite the narrative.
But my understanding is that like crusty boomer Bruce Springsteen fans don't like that album.
So I'm trying to think of a good example. It might be where they say that in the sense as some sort of like gatekeeping thing that they don't know is gatekeeping. But like I've been to the shows and I'm telling you, when any single first note from any of those songs drops, it is, I mean, it's like John Cena showed up. Like it's a huge pop. Like, so it's not like, I don't know who said, they say that in the sense that it's considered a like, I don't know, maybe the way people think Off the Wall is better than Thriller or.
Well, I mean, Off the Wall is better than Thriller.
Well, yeah, but Thriller, sold 1 billion more copies. And so therefore, if you're a real Michael Jackson, so in this scenario, Darkest on the Edge of Town is Off the Wall. Born in the USA is Thriller, I guess, or Born to Run. I don't know.
I made Gilio listen to Greetings from Asbury Park on the drive up to DC to prove a point about Bruce Springsteen in those early days where it's just Bruce noodling and talking about all these weird nicknames and, Fast Car Johnny with, Lila Linguini and various other things. And Joey's like,
it's usually Wendy.
You turn it off. You're just Sandy.
It's what if
off. He couldn't handle it. Jersey boy couldn't handle it.
Yeah, it's Bob Dylan listened to doo-wop instead of folk growing up, and so that's sort of where he was going for. I'm not fully aware of Giglio's. Oh, aren't you from up there? I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm from New Jersey. Yes, I'm a
Is
Bruce
this some
Springsteen
sort of
fan.
like?
He's always slandering him.
Okay.
But Enoch knows that.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I told you about my theory about why all sports writers love Bruce Springsteen is because they view him as the guy who has a hidden copy of the gym key and lets himself in at night to get up some extra shots. They think he's like the grinder. And it's like, I don't know, man. He was kind of a prodigy. He was like, he was like fronting his first band when he was 14 and then was like a superstar by the time he was like in his early 20s. It was kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
they don't want to hear that. No.
I think the reason why sports writers like him is because he's tortured in that. You just said it. He had all this material for Born in the USA.
Storyteller.
Yeah. He's never going to be happy with the stories he's telling. He's always criticizing himself, which is why he would become obsessive over the sound of a drum, right? Like on Born in the USA. No, I need that thing to hit like dun, dun, dun. I need it right. That's why I think sports writers love Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, and that's
I was going to say sports writers are oddly self-critical, man.
Well, they also think that he writes stories about guys at the end of the bar, and I don't want to say they. Some of them might view themselves as those guys and think that, like, if I didn't just have such a scribe's heart, that could have been me.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
I had real talent. Yes.
yeah.
This is why Joe has a hard time with Peter King. Anyway, man, you took the wrong turn.
I know. I
took the wrong turn, dude. All right, man. I figured I'd leave on a high note, get you off that ECU discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to say. I mean, look, I cannot wait for next year. I'm thrilled.
All right.
I'm extremely disappointed. I'm sad as heck for everybody. We should have won, like we all as discussed. And would I don't know how I'd feel if we went 0-2 against Tennessee. If it feel any different, but yeah.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Housekeeping.
Man, I feel so bad for Enoch. I'll probably spend more money at Nice Price.
That's a good trade for him. Actually, he'd probably trade it all.
Yes, he absolutely would trade me bringing records back to sell for credit so I could buy more records or do upgrade help, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe I can get him tickets for the podcast festival. Go to the Rialto website, buy your tickets today. I got a ticket report in the mail today. We've sold some more tickets. Robust ticket sales, Joe. So the podcast festival will be here for week 0, August 24th. It's going to have Shutdown Fullcast. It's going to have us. It's going to have Hand in the Dirt. There's going to be exclusive merch at this podcast festival. We got an exclusive hoodie from Home Field. And big thanks to Breeze Through for being the presenting sponsor of the podcast festival. And of course, with Housekeeping, it's brought to you by Enovana. Check them out online at ENOVANA.com. Green Cleaning Solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it green clean with Enovana.
So I mentioned some stuff about things we'll get to in housekeeping. We have to have a meeting. I still don't have a sounder for a meeting.
Okay.
I don't know if we can use like robot voice
Call
or something
to order.
like that. I don't know. What do we got here?
We are now in session.
We got megaphone. Okay, let's do megaphone here.
Time for a meeting. Very official sounding.
So, Joe Giglio, please report to the conference room for a meeting. The meeting will begin in 2 minutes.
Joe OVs, please report to. No, I'm trying to think. Oh, no. This is actually my fear. I'm at the fair and I hear this over the loudspeaker.
Apple pie.
No. It would be, would the parents of Caleb and Jacob please report to the Red Cross building? Anyway.
Missing children.
Do
at
the voice
fair.
while you have it, though.
What's that?
Apple pie, sweet potato
Well, they got rid of that.
pie,
They got rid of that building.
cherry pie.
They got rid of that building, man. I was at the Greek Fest over the weekend. And
they did?
And they just, I knew it was going to happen, but it finally happened.
Building from 1948.
Yeah, so that building where that dude's like,
internment camp.
Apple pie, blueberry pie,
Ham biscuits.
chocolate chip pie.
They did not have chocolate chips pie. Here.
Speaking of pie, you can get chocolate chip pie at Longleaf. We're going to be doing our
yes, you
show.
can.
We're going to be doing our show next Thursday.
That was a good pull.
Next Thursday from Longleaf. And then here's our, and that's for the golf tournament that's taking place. But here's our meeting. We are not going to be doing shows the week of July 1st. We are taking that week off, completely off. That's July 4th week.
1 through 5. So we'll be back on the 8th.
So we'll be back on the 8th. But here's my next proposal, because ACC kickoff is the week of the 22nd. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like we should probably take the week after off. So that's the week of the 29th, the last week of July, first week in August. We should take that week off too, and then lock in, as the kids would say,
for 5
on August 5th as we get ready for the start of the football season.
Oh,
yeah, yes or no?
Look at that. I hate being spoiled. Do you see that calendar with Rod?
I see Rod and Jesper Fost.
But Rod's with a puppy. That's
I know.
like
Almost
Rod smiling.
Almost Rod smiling. So how do you feel about that?
Somebody told him, like, hey man, you can do some Kaiser chops if you hold this puppy. We'll put some extra weight on the bar if you hold this puppy.
Who's still doing Kaiser chops? Rod is still doing Kaiser chops. So July 29th, that last week of July. So we want to take the first week of July off and the last week of July off. We good with that?
I mean, it's good with me. We just probably need to clear that with some of our people. But we'll do that
with our corporate champions.
With some of our corporate champions.
Okay, we do need to clear that with our corporate champions. Speaking of which, Breeze Through is one of our corporate champions, and they're helping us with the podcast festival. So go support them. Check out breezethrough.com. Download the app. Save money on gas, ladies and gentlemen. Whitaker and Hamer's been a corporate champion from the jump. They helped us with our OG birthday fiesta back in May. And they're going to be helping us throughout the rest of the year. You can help them, or you can help yourself, I should say, by contacting them for attorneys and counselors at law. So check them out at wh.lawyer. Also, big thanks to Nature's Relief Hemp Store, RELEAF, hempstore.com. Nature's Relief. You've got questions, man, they got answers. You're looking like I did when we were there live. I need something to help me get some deeper sleep, more restful sleep. They've got gummies for that. You're just looking to vibe on the weekend. They got drinks for that, all sorts of drinks, seltzers, the juices, the alcohol replacements like nowadays. You're looking for a pre-rolled thing? They got that too. So check out Nature's Relief Hemp Store, RELEAF hempstore.com.
It's the new quarterback Sam's. Whew. You trying to spell relief.
Buddy, I'm struggling.
We had someone ask about the sodas on the Twitters.
Yes.
They're the Keef sodas.
Okay.
They come in grape, cola, and maybe orange is the other flavor. I've had the grape. The grape is unbelievable.
Awesome.
That's what I'll bring to you. You want it this Thursday?
Let's do it this Thursday since we're in the studio. I'll drink it 30 minutes before.
Isn't it funny that I was listening to yesterday's podcast and I was like, man, I don't want to do the podcast by myself. And I was like, oh, I guess that's what Joe did that day. I was totally asleep.
Yeah, you were asleep, but you and I are different. Everybody's body is different, which is why you need to go to Nature's Relief. Over to the Carolina Panthers, where it looks like the ball is finally rolling on renovations for Bank of America Stadium. This is something that David Tepper, since he took over ownership of the Carolina Panthers, has been pointing towards either a new building of some sort or doing a major retrofit of Bank of America Stadium. And I'll say this, much like when we talked about PNC Arena and all the back and forth and conversations about renovations to the building and lease agreements and everything else, it's time. Yeah. Bank of America Stadium, while they have added some new things, it really needs a retrofit to make it work for both football and for soccer now that Charlotte FC is there. And it is time. Unfortunately, technology, advancements, expectations out of fans make buildings that don't in your mind seem all that old. Straight up. PNC Arena's in the same boat. However, there's always a catch. However, Tepper wants $650 million in tax money to fund essentially what is half of what is scheduled to be a $1.3 billion project. Now, the tax money, much like PNC Arena renovation stuff, the tax money comes from an already established bucket of hospitality taxes. So we got 1% on restaurants and bars. That's a food and beverage tax, 1%, and 2% on hotels. And again, much like PNC Arena renovations, the fight is over the allocation of the money. So of this money that's already in this bucket, for instance, did we want it to go to convention center renovations that are already earmarked for that? Or do we want it to go to PNC Arena? How much of it goes to PNC Arena? How much of it goes here? I mean, I'm doing a very base version of this conversation, but we don't have 3 hours to discuss this on a podcast. Okay. Sure. So that's just the basics of this. But I would also point out, though, that these tourism taxes are actually taxes on people in the state. Like the food and beverage tax, they don't differentiate you, the Charlotte.
Oh, I'm from Arizona and I came in out of town.
Right. They don't differentiate you, the Charlotte Mecklenburg resident, going out to dinner in Charlotte as an in-towner. You don't get a discount for that. That's all taxed for you. And same with hotels. You and I, if we want to go out to a football game, we could go the day of, but we're old now. We need to sleep. Yeah. We get a hotel room. That's a tax on a North Carolinian at that point. So this
is the price of poker, man. You're saying he is willing to put up half?
He's willing to put up half. Yes. Okay. He's willing to put up half. And
I mean, I would get his money up front, but
to your point, this is the price of poker. As much as I can sit here and pound the table that no taxpayer money should go fund billionaire playgrounds, which is what these stadiums are. They should be put towards infrastructure, public transportation. Again, I'm talking specifically about the tourism bucket. I don't want to, we can talk about the other stuff about what's really necessary, but if this money is allocated for things for the improvement around your town, there's other things that you can put it towards that benefit a lot more people than the billionaire owner who has the money.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other reason why I'm a little skittish on taxpayers paying for half of the proposed $1.3 billion project. Unlike PNC Arena is a taxpayer-owned on public land situation with a very layered ownership structure, or who runs its structure, through the Centennial Authority. As we discussed with Philip Isey, who's the head of the Centennial Authority, there's a very, very small needle you have to thread when it comes to getting everybody happy and on board. Bank of America Stadium is a completely different dynamic. You can go to the City of Charlotte website and it'll say in plain English that Tepper Sports and Entertainment owns the building and they pay taxes on it. They pay property taxes on this. And
I'm sure it's at the same rate as our.
I'm sure that's the case. And it's
why are you trying to get me in a bad mood here?
It's also worth pointing out that David Tepper is worth $20.6 billion.
Yeah, but
that's $7 billion more than Jerry Jones. That's what else? That's $4 billion more than Stan Kroenke. He is currently 94th on the Forbes list of richest dudes.
Glad you brought up Stan Kroenke, because that's what this is.
Yep.
Okay. Stan Kroenke, if you don't know, owns the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Moved the Rams from St. Louis when they didn't want to do this, when they didn't want to give them a new stadium. They didn't want to upgrade where they played.
Yeah.
So there's your alternative. And if you're at the risk of getting Bomani out here to explain trickle-down economics to us and how much they work and don't work.
I have reached out to Mina Kimes of ESPN. She and I have had a back and forth on email about getting her on to talk about Tepper specifically, and how he made his money and all.
Yeah, but I do think that there is a value to the community. So you think about it, right? Like, people in Hartford are still crying about the Whalers. People in St. Louis are still like, hey, like, we had this football team. What the heck happened?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you might not like the owner and people might not like Tepper, but you do like the team. And the businesses in that area, while can get a pop-in visit from Tepper over a sign outside their establishment, think about the alternative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So ultimately, when you say it's a $650 million tax bill,
mm-hmm.
It's not coming from your pocket. Like 10 cents of it's coming from your pocket. It's not like you're paying for it.
Well, I mean, property taxes roll into this. Again, this it's a lot more layered conversation, and I'm not going to act like I'm some sort of city planner or tax expert on this stuff.
But I guess there is a zero-sum alternative is what I'm getting at.
Okay, to that point, I don't disagree with you. I agree with you in that this is a much more complicated topic than me just going, tax funds shouldn't go to stuff like this when I know you're worth $20.6 billion.
Right.
And we've seen instances where It's been privately funded by just as rich owners, Jerry Jones being a prime example of this. Hey, man, Stan Kroenke, same situation with his setup in LA.
Yeah, but you don't know what the tax trade-off was in that area. Like Jerry Jones might have said, I'll pay for all of this, but I'm not paying tax on it.
No, you're right. No, there's all sorts of layers to this. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. But what I would say to the threat of a team leaving, there's two things. One is in this proposal, and the language is funny in the proposal that I read. Part of the agreement for paying half of this through taxpayer money is that there would be a non-relocation clause for it was up to 20 years.
Yeah.
But the fine print is that David Tepper, who again, I will point out, is worth $20.6 billion. There's a 5-year out with 5 years to go. He could pay a penalty to get out of it.
Kind of like the ESPN deal.
Yeah. So what you're really looking at is 15 years at best. And the renovations wouldn't really be completed until 2029 when you agree to this kind of stuff, right? 15 years goes by really, really quick, man. And I would be very hesitant if I am a city of Charlotte politician to agree to something that would give Tepper a quicker out than it's needed. Because all I got to do is look at Rock Hill and be like, this guy, when he wants out of something, he's going to find a way out of it one way or the other. So if there's going to be taxpayer money involved, I would actually negotiate a longer lease term to make it so that you know damn well that this money will be used over time, XYZ. But here's where I ultimately think David Tepper fumbled the ball, all right? David Tepper's whole entire aesthetic is brass balls on the table.
Right.
Every profile we read about David Tepper was the brass balls on the table. Here's a man that wants to flex his money so badly that he was willing to buy some guy's property because as a vengeance thing. So we've all heard the stories. I don't want to rehash them, but I'm establishing that David Tepper apparently is about that life, unless he's not. You know that meme where you've got like the big muscular dog on the left and the little dog on the right? David Tepper is the big muscular dog on the left when it comes to a fan talking junk at him and he tosses a drink at him.
Right.
Okay. David Tepper is the big dog when, hey, I don't like that sign. I'm going in and I'm going to take your hat off.
Right.
Okay. Big manly dog. Right. But then all of a sudden, when it comes to spending money, being big brass ball man, he's suddenly the little wimpy dog. I don't know if I can spend this money. I'm going to need half of it to be spent by the taxpayers. Now, I understand that billionaires don't become billionaires by spending their own money. I'm not naive here.
Yeah.
But if you're about that big brass balls life that David Tepper likes to be about, if you can't stop telling the city of Charlotte, y'all were a bunch of bumpkins that didn't know culture until I bought this team and I started to bring concerts to this area, then you got to sell it better on the taxpayer money. You know, the one thing that easily would have sold this, I get it's more expensive, but it makes it a lot easier to sell, a retractable roof. Where is the talk of the retractable roof? I don't see anything about a retractable roof in these plans. And you're probably wondering, well, what's the big deal about a retractable roof? Well,
it would be nice to have the Final Four here.
Yeah.
Not go to Arizona.
It would. This place would crush it for a Final Four. North Carolina would absolutely crush it for a Final Four. You want a WrestleMania? You want a Super Bowl? You want all that stuff? You're going to need a retractable roof. And if David Tepper really is about selling, I'm going to transform the city of Charlotte. Well, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. I'm going to need half this money because look at all these major events that are going to come to the town. Not just something that is, for lack of a better term, necessary to upgrade Bank of America Stadium to bring it up to speed with. And even when they're done with it, it'll still probably be lagging behind some of the other facilities that have gone through their own upgrades as well. So you got to go big or go home. Give me the brass balls, dude. Give me the brass balls. That's what's lacking in this. I brought culture to you. No, for real, bring it.
Yeah.
Bring me a Final Four. Bring me a Super Bowl. Bring me Taylor Swift. Come on, man. You bring in concerts, but you're not bringing the concerts. And you do that by going super big on retrofitting Bank of America Stadium outright. One other thing I wanted to point out, because you're right, it is the price of poker and you could very well lose a team. Here's my question. Where are they going?
I mean, Yeah, 2 teams just moved to LA, man.
They're going to bring a third team to LA?
I'm just saying.
They're going to bring a third team to LA? They're going to bring a third team to New York?
I can see them bringing another team to Vegas. I mean, why not?
Okay, David Tepper wants to share a building with the Raiders? Look, does the NFL really want to leave a market that is in a continual path of growth as North Carolina continues to elevate in population? That's where they want to leave. It's the same arguments with the Carolina Hurricanes and Tom Dundon.
Right.
Where are you going to go? The NHL is way more interested in bringing new teams on because that's just another revenue source for the owners, just like the Ponzi scheme of the MLS.
Yeah, but I think
the NFL, if the NFL is actually going to bring on a new team, you notice where they're talking about. They ain't talking about in
London or
Mexico
wherever.
City,
Mexico. Listen,
Frankfurt, etc. Panthers aren't going anywhere. Panthers are not going anywhere.
I don't like that attitude because all it takes is one billionaire who's willing to go somewhere.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so St. Louis, there's a void. Who the heck knows? Maybe Portland wants a team. Maybe there's something. Oakland just lost every team they've ever had.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something back in California.
But here's gets back to the taxpayer thing. Every time these things get put to a vote, like public vote, not city councils, not the counties, etc.
I mean, San Antonio doesn't have a football
They keep
team.
losing every single time this stuff is put up. The San Diego said, "Nah, you pay for the building."
Right.
Oakland with the baseball stadium, "Nah, you pay for the building," which I think is the right thing. I think for the most part, people see the con in all of this. So that's why you're identifying cities that the people have already said to NFL owners, "No, we're good. We're good here."
Oklahoma City.
I don't know. I don't see it. I just don't see it. But bottom line here is that
Hartford.
If I'm David Tepper, hey man, you want taxpayer money? That's cool, but you really better sell it by bringing me some serious events, not some fun new LED boards that currently show Bryce Young. That was the other thing that I took away from all the renderings. There's all these pictures of Bryce Young and like people wearing Bryce Young jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
Are we sure he's still going to be the quarterback in 2029?
No.
I'm just asking. Stay ready. Go to Roback. Roback.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. You golfing today?
Yes.
You be rocking some Roback? I'm assuming you're not going to be golfing in a hoodie.
Not in a hoodie today.
Okay.
No.
Get your
yes. I have my pick picking in the car.
Nice.
Yeah. I do love the pick picking.
Where are you going today?
I'm actually going to go to Hedingham today.
Do you always have clubs in your car?
Yes.
Always.
I mean, 98% of the time.
That's the true definition of stay ready.
I mean,
I'm
you
impressed.
have to. You never know.
Anyway, go to Roback.com and use that promo code OG20. You got to stay ready on the housing market. If you are trying to buy a house, you got to be on it in this market. And there's no better help than those at Hometown Realty. Check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. You can buy and sell with confidence. That's the key part here, Joe.
Yeah. Listen, they have 6 locations from here to the coast, more than 250 agents, and getting into those new markets, not easy. And then even, right now I know where the interest rates are, but the price of your house keeps going up.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to sell yourself short, and you don't want to be in this market without knowing that you're maximizing the value of your primary asset. So go with confidence, go with the people who know, go with that big network, go with Hometown Realty. It's myhtr.com.
Also, big thanks to Two Roosters. Check them out online at tworoosters.com. You can check out their latest flavors.
Cookie dough.
Coffee
Forget
cookie
it.
dough is the one that you're all about.
Close it up. Let's go. I feel like every month I send Jared a text like, okay, you need to add this. Okay, you need to add. Okay, this is my. Nope, got to be this one.
This is the greatest one
And
you've
he's
ever
just
done.
like, yeah, you got to pace yourself. You got to.
You kind of do, man. You kind of do.
Let me slow down.
Big thanks to DraftKings for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Check them out. Download the app and use the promo code OG24 because new customers who download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that promo code OG24, you bet $5, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet that $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit and eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Does the DraftKings Sports app have Caitlin Clark, not buckets, rebounds, threes, you name it, all those things? I don't need Caitlin Clark stats. What I need is a DraftKings over-under on how are dudes going to talk weird about Caitlin Clark today? How many guys will have to issue an apology for something they said about Caitlin Clark today? Over-under at 2. Can I get odds on that? That's what I'm looking for.
It'll be a whole lot more than that. People are mad at me that ECU Evansville didn't go over. They scored 11 runs. Like, they scored 27 combined runs the day before, guys. So you can't get mad at me when I'm trying to help you.
That's fair.
Here.
That's fair.
So here's my play of the day. I actually took this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I took the Panthers to win the cup in 6 games. So you go to futures, you go to exact outcome, and I took the Panthers to win in 6. That's plus 500. I kind of like that.
Okay.
I just don't trust Edmonton's goalie. I keep saying it, and I realize how good Connor McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman, they're all off the charts, man. Off the charts. But I do think the Bob last year, after fumbling the bag in the finals, I think he closes it out this time. And so Panthers, 6 games, plus 500. Those are good odds.
We also have the NBA Finals coming up, and DraftKings is the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So go use that promo code OG24, bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So I mentioned Caitlin Clark, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and I underestimated, and maybe it has to do with the fact that we're in a lull between the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals starting. We're in a weird nebulous part when it comes to the NFL. There's nothing crazy NFL happening right now. So we really hit ludicrous speed when it comes to Caitlin Clark discussions. And after we talked about it, we talked about it more on a like, hey, where are the teammates? XYZ. It really became a culture war later on Monday, unbeknownst to me. And I want to give all the credit in the world to Panthers.com, Darren Gant, who always said, Cam Newton makes people stupid. I feel like that phrase has to be updated now. Cam Newton still makes people stupid, don't misunderstand. But the one who really gets everybody to lose their freaking minds right now is Caitlin Clark. So, ladies and gentlemen, Caitlin Clark makes people stupid. And yesterday was a prime example of this. I guess we can kind of go in chronological order and how this all happened. Let's start with Stephen A. Smith.
We're talking about them maximizing their great potential. And because we bring that up and talk about what potentially might get in their way, which we do to men all the time, now we got to sit up here and watch every syllable. I resent that. And I'll leave it
All
at
right,
that.
so let me. I know we got to go to break. Welcome to the world of being a woman, Stephen A., and how you have to dance about your word choice and you have to please everybody and anybody as you navigate your being. We are talking about the world's greatest.
How about being a black man?
Being black. Hold on 1 second. Have you? So this is what I'm saying to y'all though, and I know we got to go to break, and we didn't necessarily go there. Maybe we should. There are so many layers in this conversation around the way that it's being discussed. No. And yes, Shannon, I know y'all are going to say, and Stephen A., I know you just shared that you have talked about the WNBA on your program too. You guys may not have said everybody, but the prevailing sentiment for folks that are just joining the WNBA and following women's sports is unfair to the women of this league, to your point, who have laid the groundwork for Caitlin Clark to come in and now take it to the next level. That's all I'm saying in these conversations. Kennedy Carter's behavior is not indicative of the entire league. We are still talking about competition where you are allowed to get a little extra elbow in if you are competing and you do it within the parameters of the game. The game is physical. Caitlin is helping to grow the league. These women understand that, but she cannot be babied as a rookie. That's all I'm at.
All right.
Who talks about the WNBA? Who talks about women? Who talk about women's sports more than First Take?
Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to.
Wow.
All right. We got to go to.
Okay. Okay. First off, I agree with everything Monica McNutt said. Okay. Which we can get into a little bit later on. But when Stephen A. went with Wow. Joe, that's the most relatable shit Stephen A. Smith has ever done. The most relatable shit that man's ever done. Because that, you and I have been in that exact situation where we've been called out, and the only thing you've got is, wow. Oh, it's like that. You have nothing.
It's also okay to just admit that you don't talk about something the same way that you talk about, like we talk about NC State, we talk about UNC, we talk about the ACC. That's like us being on here like Oregon State baseball. Like, yeah, I've been talking. Who talks about more about Oregon State baseball than us? It's like,
nah.
Just because you did one segment on Oregon State baseball, dude, doesn't mean that you are an expert, and or that you've dedicated as much energy. And by the way, in this business, you talk about things that are going to interest people and that matter to people, and that are conversations that people are having. Caitlin Clark has changed the conversation for the WNBA. I also agree with Angel Reese, though. I agree with her that she has helped elevate women's basketball as well, because we got those 2 games. We got the championship game 2 years ago where she got over on Caitlin Clark, and we got this year where Caitlin Clark and Iowa got over on Angel Reese and LSU.
But here's what she had to say.
It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that, because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like, just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too.
Folks got mad at that.
She has a point.
Yes.
Now, you may not agree with 100% of what she's saying, particularly the part of like, it just started 2 year ago. Well, no. I mean, there's been other. No. But again,
it did elevate.
But again, you're adding different elements here into this. And she adds a different element too, in terms of like, you know, her fashion and her sense of like making it more like, I've never seen the WNBA walk-up videos on my social feed before. You know how you see like Russell Westbrook with his cameraman,
so
how they used to do that for the NBA. Like,
yeah,
I'm seeing that now. I'm seeing that now for the WNBA. I've never seen that before.
It's interesting you bring that up,
and I think that goes to her. Well, because I think she has more of an eye for that, more of a Serena type flair than Caitlin Clark certainly does.
I'll disagree with again. Social media is so weird now that you're going to get fed things that the algorithm deems for you to get fed. It's not as chronological or as organic as it used to be. You're talking about, you never seen this stuff before. I've seen it before, but it's not from Angel Reese. You know who I see a lot of? Cameron Brink. I see a lot of her on my timeline. There's a guy, Lucas Shaw, that I follow. He works for Business Insider. He's a media reporter. Really interesting stuff. He's a good follow to understand what's going on in the media business. And he had posted out, like, it was a Cameron Brink video. And it was, he was trying to make this point that it was sexist that all of these walk-up fashion videos are populating his timeline. He's like, I've never seen this in any other sport. And it's like
Westbrook and LeBron.
I gently,
football now does it too.
I gently responded to Lucas by saying, nah, dude, this has been going on in sports for a very, very long time. NBA fashion walk-up has been around for 15 years.
The NFL's trying it now too.
I can
the Canes.
Dude, I can point you in the direction of the Canes Instagram account, where all they're doing is posting pictures that go hard of Andrei Svechnikov. And I see your comments. I see the comments. All right. So all this stuff about the fashion walks, this is not specific or sexist to the WNBA. That's what is happening in sports. People are interested in the outfits. But again, that Lucas Shaw point that I'm making is illustrative of what this weird place we are in. So Mitch Northrum, who we've talked to a bunch,
who actually does for a living
cover women's basketball.
Talk about women's basketball.
He had tweeted this out. If you wonder why some folks who have covered women's sports for a long time have been a bit hesitant to embrace mainstream voices entering this space, you can look how Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee have acted today as to those reasons why. He's absolutely correct. Now, there's a flip side to that I want to get to in a second, but specifically about how we're talking about this. It's all insulting. It's all insulting. It's disrespectful how people have been talking about the WNBA, and those who have been covering the league for a while, who have been talking about the league for a while, are like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're talking about this differently because you like this person or you feel like this person's crucial to what we're trying to do. Now, WNBA's had, brick by brick, trying to slowly build things up. We're in a really weird spot when it comes to talking about the WNBA. And I think that for as many years as people have been wanting you to watch the product, right? It's almost, people almost treat it and I have an issue with this. People almost treat it like it's your civic duty to watch the WNBA sometimes, right? It's not. It's whatever. If there's something compelling going on, people will find it. Well, now to your point, here we have this compelling thing that's going on. And now you're getting what you've always wanted. You're getting the mainstream discussion about the WNBA. But here's the flip side of that. And I saw Jamel Hill write about this. I'm trying to see if I can actually pull up let me see if I can pull up. She wrote something for The Atlantic that I want to get this right to illustrate the point that I'm trying to make here. The Atlantic's subheadline was, the WNBA's newfound popularity has triggered a boom in commentary from men who have no idea what they're talking about, Jamel Hill writes. To which my immediate thought to that was, yeah, that's the feature, not the bug of the sports take industrial complex.
Yeah.
When things hit mainstream, this is the kind of conversation you get. You want equality? Well, we're getting equality in how we talk about these things in the worst, dumbest ways, most base ways possible. What's happening with Caitlin Clark is what happens with the major sports, where we spend an entire week trying to find every nook and cranny and layer and make it some sort of societal content, when it's just, hey man, it was a hard foul that Caitlin Clark might have sold a little too much. A little bit, just saying. But we're not talking about that anymore because we've hit that mainstream point. And that's the weird place that we're in when it comes to the WNBA.
Yeah, I mean, if it was just a hard foul, then I think it's even a different conversation. Because again, Angel Reese the previous week got a hard foul.
Yeah, and nobody really talked about
and
that.
It was just kind of like, well, maybe this isn't just the Caitlin Clark thing. Maybe it's a rookie thing. But this was an off the ball, even her coach now was like, that's not a basketball play. And it was obviously a targeted move by her. And she's now saying, oh, you didn't hear what she said to me. Well, okay.
I guess I get it. We've gone a little too long on this. We'll move on here and get to lightning round in a second. But my ultimate issue with all of this is the insulting way we talk about the WNBA, the insulting way we talk about Caitlin Clark.
Sure, we try to mansplain and help them and solve their problems.
And worse,
that's what men do.
And worse to this, yes, it's exactly what we do. And worse, the worst part of it all is that every other conversation we'd ever have about sports, we would not talk about it the way we do about Caitlin Clark because of some racial components, obviously. But we're basically asking people to coddle Caitlin Clark. We would never ask that of any other rookie in any other sport. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why are you asking for something that's never happened in sports to occur? Michael Jordan was not coddled. No rookie is ever coddled. Every athlete has a welcome to the league moment. It just so happens that Caitlin Clark's getting it on full blast for a bunch of people who are casuals. It's as simple as that. I almost feel like there's a bit there. A welcome to the league moment. You know what? That's like an OG Sports phone call. Your welcome to the league moment in your industry. Do you have a welcome to the league moment, Joe? Save it. Think about it. Think about it. Call the OG Sports phone, 919-444-2211. What was in your industry, not in sports, like you're an engineer, you're working at IBM in the 70s. What was your welcome to the league? Electrical engineer rookie. Oh, you thought this chip was going to work? No. I'm going to have to think about this one. So call the OG Sports phone, 919-444-2211. I want your welcome to the league story in your industry. That's what I'm looking for. If that's not Dumb Sports Talk Radio, I don't know what is, folks. So call the OG Sports phone, 919-444-2211. I'm proud of myself for that one. I'm not going to lie. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority for sponsoring Ovia's and Giglio, corporate champion from the jump. Check them out online, bugsbite.com. We are in prime hanging out in the backyard season. If you're looking to keep the mosquitoes in check, Mosquito Authority is a good way to go about it. And you pay as you go if you want to. No contracts. See how that system works. You'll enjoy it. If it's not, you can move on. But you can also bundle and save. We're all about bundling and saving money. If you bought a package of them, you do it at the beginning of the year. You can save money. If you want to bundle Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority, you can do that. So head on over to bugsbite.com. And while you're hanging out in the backyard, that's where the butcher's market comes into play. You got the grill, looking for something to throw on it.
I had burgers yesterday.
Nice.
Good.
Just the straight burgers?
Yep.
Did you do the filet ones or just the normal burger?
Normal.
Burgers? Okay.
Normal.
One of these days, I'm going to splurge on the Wagyu burgers in the frozen section. I'm intrigued by those.
You dabble more in the frozen section than I do.
There's a lot of interesting stuff
I gotta
in there,
say,
man.
because you're more adventurous when it comes to certain things. I'm just more like, hey, this is what I like. This is what I'm going to get. You can do it either way. They got a great selection at the Butcher's Market. Go check them out, especially the OG Epicenter over there on Lake Boone.
Lightning round.
Gold time.
I got Brian working on a banjo version of the lightning round.
I am the game, and I came to play it.
I think we're gonna make that happen. We're gonna get a banjo or some sort of
If Brian
bluegrass.
pulls off a bluegrass, oh man,
that's gonna be great.
Lightning round item number 1.
As I mentioned during the Caitlin Clark discussion, there's NFL things that we could talk about, but that's how powerful Caitlin Clark is. We're not talking about some NFL things. For instance, this is from the Washington Post. The NFL is set to use even more technology in its officiating, but they will not go the full route of the sky judge. Again, this is from the Washington Post story. The league will continue to test electronic systems for measuring first downs during preseason games this summer, and it could lead to the use of the system in regular season games as soon as this season. They will also expand their use of instant replay as an officiating tool in the upcoming season. The league will give replay officials an increased role in assisting an on-field official with certain objective aspects of penalties for roughing the passer, intentional grounding, and late hits out of bounds. They are not going to go the sky judge route.
I was going to say, I don't hear the word sky judge. It sounds awfully close to it.
So this is from Rich McKay. He is the owner, or the chief executive of the Atlanta Falcons and chairman of the competition committee. Quote, to us, this is where replay assist can go. The concept that Coach Harbaugh and Coach Reed, talking about John Harbaugh and Andy Reid, the concept that they pushed for, and we talked about years ago, which was this sky judge idea, right? We've always pushed back on that because the game has to be officiated on the field. It just has to be officiated on the field. There's too much going on. But their concept and the idea that replay assist can help part of getting the calls right, we like that. And this is just another step in that. At this point, you're not really calling it on the field because you know you've got the assistant. So just go sky judge already. Also, I think the chain gang will still find a way. They're still going to have the chain gang. They like I don't know, the pageantry of the chain gang. We'll keep an eye on that one.
Next up, lightning round item number 2.
See what Justin Jefferson got?
A lot of money.
A lot of freaking money, man. A lot of money. Again,
I feel like this is going to be tied to my Tyreek Hill take, and it's going to get thrown in my face.
It is. Justin Jefferson from the Washington Post, a 3-time Pro Bowl selection, established himself as one of the NFL's most spectacular players, agreed to a 4-year, $140 million deal with the Vikings that runs through the 2028 season. You know where we're headed with wide receivers?
Quarterback territory? No.
Running back territory.
Oh.
We're going to get to a point. We saw this.
Well, you're right. If the Chiefs said we don't need Tyreek Hill, then yes, you're right.
We don't need Tyreek Hill. There's enough talent coming through the draft that we can easily plug and play as these guys have become. I mean, how many times have we heard it say, oh, it's such a deep wide receiver draft?
Yeah.
They're going to turn the wide receiver market is going to implode, much like the running back market imploded, because the idea is, why should I allocate this amount of money to this position
for Christian McCaffrey to fumble in the Super Bowl?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm still bitter about
And why should I allocate that amount of money when I can go get a dude out of the draft who can contribute right now? Defense, quarterback, maybe a specialist like a Jason or a Travis Kelce, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, the Kansas City Chiefs have broken this.
It's hard to take the Chiefs as the actual norm, though, when they have the exception not only at quarterback but with their coach.
Well, let's see what happens with the Buffalo Bills now that they've gotten rid of Stephon Diggs. Let's see what happens with.
I don't think the Bills have the right coach.
They probably don't have the right coach. Look, the Miami Dolphins have done exactly what with all the money that's allocated to the wide receiver groups?
Let's see. I would love to see the Dolphins figure it out, but I
don't think it's going to happen.
They lost to.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Painful.
Lightning round item number 3. Happy 50th.
Happy 50th anniversary. On June 4th, 1974, 10-cent beer night occurred.
Oh boy. This Comiskey Park.
Yes.
Disco.
Texas Rangers, Cleveland, 10-cent beer night.
Cleveland.
At Municipal Stadium.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in Cleveland for 10-cent beer night. As I was reading this retrospective on beer night, and it went, batteries, rocks, golf balls were thrown, beer cups, golf balls, firecrackers were apparently getting lit up in the stands and things like that. There's smoke. There was an altercation just outside the dugout after one of the players got hit in the head with a can. Okay. 70s were a wild time, man. Yeah. And these are things that even as a kid, you heard this kind of almost reverential, man, those were the days. And 10-cent beer night. You talked about Disco Demolition Night. We sit here and we talk about how sports, Major League Baseball is struggling right now, or the NBA has really got to be worried about ratings and all this other kind of stuff. We tend to forget where these sports leagues were 50 years ago.
Right.
Really trying to do some wacky shit to try to get people in the place. All these promotional nights and whatnot. Stuff that would never happen today. Can you imagine? You wouldn't do a 10-cent beer night in 2024 because of reasons like this. You wouldn't do a 10-cent beer night in 2024 because ownership is looking at it going, why would I give up that much money? I'm charging you $30 to park. I'm not going to give you a 10-cent beer.
50, yeah.
I mean, come on now. So anyway, it for those who are of the younger generation, and you look at what's been going on right now, and you get told that these things are oh man, I'm really worried for this league, or Major League Baseball has some things to work itself out. Hey, 50 years ago, they were doing stuff like this. 10-cent beer night. And lastly,
lightning round item number 4.
So you sent this to me. Woo. This comes from a Twitter account called Drunk by the Turn, aka Joe Gilio's burner. Tiger looks absolutely zooted. Okay.
Hello, it's Tiger Woods. Oh, hello, it's Ninja. A ninja and a tiger. I'm so proud of Tiger. At the TGR Foundation, we're doing the Tigers Poker Night. We're going to raise $1 million, maybe $2 million. It's a really, really nice event. Tiger, I'm so proud of you. For what's your favorite moment with TGR? You've raised $100 million.
Ooh. I think it's the stories that the kids come back and tell. First generations ever go to college. Parents said you never go to college. Grandparents say you never go to college.
Okay.
Clearly not sober. Which is fine. He's at a casino. He's playing
poker. Which is fine, man. Which is fine.
But just, you know what? This is one thing I will say. Old Tiger, they would have, all of his handlers never, this would have been burned before it was let out.
Never would have seen it.
That's Phil Hellmuth, by the way. Randomly. Poker champion.
Oh,
poker
that's who it is?
Yeah,
okay, I have no idea who that is.
Didn't even get to the Ninja part where Ninja was talking about how he worked on the driving range.
Whatever. I didn't realize Ninja was still a thing. I'm so caught up on Mr. Beast, I didn't realize Ninja was still a thing.
Ninja's my hero, man.
So do you ever want to know what you look like
after the sips?
During After Dark. You just saw it. What difference, though, between Tiger Woods and you?
Better lighting.
That's what, you don't look as glassy. Because he looked glassy in that video, man. Jeez. Tiger's at least sounding coherent.
Ooh. Okay.
That's the skill you need to work on.
Okay.
When we do more After Darks in the upcoming football season and basketball season. I need you to be able to put sentences together and not just fall asleep. Tiger's locked in.
That was one time.
Tiger's locked in. I'm just saying.
One time.
There's your lightning round. I almost feel like Tiger Woods needed a little bit of a hockey break, or a happy inhale break or something.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy Inhale.
Head on over to the Happy Inhale locations, North Hills. They got one off of Six Forks out in Durham as well. And when we say a break, that's exactly what we're talking about. In the afternoon, you're looking for a little pick-me-up. I cannot recommend the smoothies enough. You're on the go. You can get the app.
I was going to say, you can even get a free smoothie when you download the app and sign up for your Happy Inhale account. I did my new favorite trick yesterday. I did the Bueno Bowl with steak.
Love it.
Delicious.
Very, very good. So Happy Inhale, we appreciate them. Download the app. Go visit their stores today. We also appreciate Matt Davis over at State Farm. InsureGarner.com, TheOGInsurance.com. Check them out. Call them, 919-779-8277. As we always like to tell you, we're about saving you money. And Matt Davis can do that on your home and auto, Joe.
Yeah, the number of people who have reached out and just called 919-779-8277, said, hey, I listened to the OG. I'm interested in saving some money on my different insurances. Sure enough, Matt's there for you. His crew is there for you over there in Garner and Aversboro Road. So appreciate them.
All right, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe questions brought to you by Crank Arm Brewing. Check them out online, crankarmbrewing.com. Drop by the Butcher's Market, get some stuff, buy some Crank Arm beer while you're there. You can find Crank Arm all over the Triangle, but it's always best to go to their space, buy their beer. And they got so many different beers.
And they would appreciate my Brompton. That's my bike.
Your bike, yes. They would appreciate
you
your
don't.
bike.
We missed a content opportunity yesterday. Lauren Brownlow was up here with Dimitri yesterday for their Panthers podcast.
Yeah.
And I said, Lauren was like, I haven't ridden a bike in 20 years. I go, oh, you could do it.
No,
Lower the seat.
No.
Oh my gosh.
No.
And I was like, Lauren, please don't hurt yourself.
No.
She's like, you really should have been filming this. I said, right. But I was more worried that you would hurt yourself.
I love Lauren, but there are times where it's like, how did you? Okay.
She was just afraid of the momentum. She needed to just let the momentum go. She's trying to do too slow. So you just have to go fast.
Fair enough. From Vernon, queuing up Salty Dave in 2024. This is from the ACC Network. Teams with the best chance to win the ACC via ESPN's FPI.
Oh, my boys.
Oh, okay. I see.
The Pony Express. Yes.
I see FSU at 26%. Clemson at 19%, Louisville at 12%, Miami at 9.9%, and SMU at 9%. No State. I thought State.
Yeah, well, you want to get Dave's attention, do something on the ACC Network.
Woo! I bet you he printed that out. It's up in the facility right now.
You want to get Dave's attention, you put it on the ACC Network.
Goodness gracious. From Steve, who goes by I Hate Light
Our
Blue.
guy.
Steve's our guy. I guess he's responding to the fact that State fans would take a picture with Roy Williams. Steve saying, I am not getting a pic with old Roy, even if I somehow ended up in a room by myself with him. Andrew followed this up by saying, if I were alone in a room with Roy, I would reluctantly acknowledge there's another human in the room. Reluctantly. And then Steve continued, I would tell him that I have nightmares of this exact scenario, similar to what I told 3 referees that were on my flight after a UVA NC State basketball game. Y'all are liars. You guys would fanboy out. Hey, Roy, can I get a picture? I love that you hate State, man. I love it. I respect that about you. You absolutely get that picture taken. Don't front. From Wolfpack Lamb, now that sports are basically an off-season protocol, which live-action Star Wars series are worth watching? Well, today, Joe, we get a new Star Wars that came out on Disney+. The Acolyte.
I'm sure it's just as super confusing as everything else. That
No,
it's not a direct ripoff of the original trilogy.
Dude, it's so much more than that. So much more than that. Because
they could just bring Khaleesi back for me, I'd be very happy.
Happening. It happens in a situation that is like hundreds of years before the movie.
Cool.
Which is even more confusing. Like,
awesome.
Wait, when does this happen?
Awesome.
When is there going to be a Darth Vader? Not
wait.
For a couple hundred years, bro.
Can't wait.
Hey, it's got Trinity from the Matrix in it. She's a Jedi. So that's kind of cool. It's got the dude from Squid Games in it. Did you watch Squid Games? Don't.
Does it look like I have any idea what you're talking about right now?
You would not be able to handle Squid Games on Netflix. No, whatsoever. Anyway, watch Andor. If you're looking for a live action Star Wars, watch Andor. A little slow to start.
I tried like a minute of that. It was a struggle.
The first 3 episodes is a lot of like setting stuff up. By the 4th episode and all the way throughout, it's some of the best sci-fi you'll ever watch. Not just best Star Wars, some of the best sci-fi you'll ever watch. From Michael, speaking of Star Wars, maybe wiffle ball bat lightsabers were a Jersey thing.
Yeah.
Nice memory from my childhood.
Yeah, we used to cut the top off of them too.
What is it? Everything's legal in New Jersey?
Everything's legal in New
including
Jersey.
wiffle ball bats as lightsabers? Yes. Fair enough. From Woj, this happened today. Channeled Ovies and Gilio. 39-year-old soda's a little flat, wasn't horrible. Is this a high school?
That's amazing.
That's a high school Coca-Cola?
Their high school got Coke to commemorate their championship?
That is amazing.
Impressive.
That is a hell of a bottle.
That's a great logo too.
Yes. Don't drink that. Give it to me and put it in the studio. That's what I'm looking for. And finally, from Bull City Coordinators, listening to yesterday's episode while driving to work and have been completely distracted since you said you were recording this at 8:36 in the morning on a Monday. All I see now are Always Sunny title cards in my head. I am mentally casting you all as Always Sunny characters. I'd be curious to see how that plays out. Just for the purposes of that conversation, I'd like to tell him that we read his tweet in Hey Joe at 10:02 in the morning, 10:02 with 20 seconds, according to my G-Shock. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. We will see you Wednesday.